Nerds International proudly presents
Welcome to the 3T RPG podcast, a podcast all about tabletop RPGs. My name is Harrison Hunt, and with me is Nick Lamley.
Howdy, cowboys and girls.
And of course, today we've got a special ghost. His name's James Clark.
Sup, bitches? I'm back.
Jeff's used profanity.
Alright, so this is a tabletop RPG podcast all about tabletop RPGs. One thing you've got to bear in mind is there's builders doing work on the flats next to mine, so if you hear terrible music or hey, fucking hell, then you know what that is. Today we're going to do feedback. We've got the main subject, which is going to be running an online convention, and we're going to kind of talk about the games we played at the convention as well, and then we're going to end with your electro letters, with your Savage Con memories of this year. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. It's going to be a very Savage Con heavy episode.
Oh,
but bear in mind, you know, if you didn't go, don't worry, because we're going to give you loads of tips for running an online convention. Hopefully, you can learn about the games we played and get some cool ideas for your games. So hopefully, it should be quite good. But before we do any of that, let's do a feedback, shall we?
oh yeah.
The feedback side. The feedback side. Yes, bitch, the feedback side. It's the feedback section.
Yeah, we take your comments and read them out. Yeah, feedback, bitch.
So first of all, I want to talk about a bit of live feedback that I had, because at SavageCon we did have an after party. It was all online, of course, and somebody mentioned that in episode 7 I said that I was a communist. I think I was probably joking. I don't know why I said that.
That's incredible.
It was the one where you and I got really drunk, Nick, and I don't remember saying it.
Oh god.
That one got so many complaints, but it didn't get more than the time we reviewed Street Fighter the RPG badly, so I mean, that's fine.
Wow. Yeah, it was uproar
But yeah,
on Reddit.
okay, first bit of feedback comes in from Dan Irwin. He's talking about the music we played at the start of the Indiana Jones bit on the last podcast.
Yep.
Because if you remember, I said, we were discussing it. We were like, let's put in some other music from another 80s movie to confuse people. And then, of course, I chose Jurassic Park, which is a 90s movie. And Daniel Irwin says, so you play a song that ain't the Indiana Jones music, then joke about playing another 80s soundtrack, then play a soundtrack from a film made in the 90s. I'm going to assume an ironic wink is in order. Yeah. I'm surprised more people didn't complain about that, though, to be fair.
I think they expect it.
That's true, yeah. Well, they just know if they do complain, we're going to treat it with...
The utmost respect.
Exactly. Ace B, he says, I just ran Sailors on the Starless Sea for the first time. Found out about DCC through your actual plays. Thanks for that.
Oh, welcome.
I don't know what to say to that, but that's alright, mate.
That's alright.
Enjoy.
Yeah, but how crazy is it that they only found out about DCC through the actual players? I honestly thought it would always be the other way around.
Well, yeah, because most of the people that are fans of it come from the DCC groups, and either they already know about it or they've entered that group by accident. So
That's true, yeah.
yeah, I mean, but that is cool. I'm glad that you did that and bought DCC and bought Sailors on the Starless Sea. If you want another great module for DCC, where could you go, Nick?
Oh, let me think now. Oh, how about going on to Drive-Thru RPG and taking a look at Escape from Station 17?
But make sure you spell escape right, okay? Theo Ruff, he says he's talking about my Animal Crossing competition that I did on Facebook. So on Animal Crossing, I've made a D&D room, and I've used the photo editor thing to put in loads of game covers, but of course they come out all blurry and pixelated. And I asked people to sort of
awesome.
Yeah, they tried to identify all of the things on the wall, and I'd send them a copy of Escape from Station 17. And yeah, Theo Ruff, he's coming in, and he says, for a second, I thought the picture was taken from your actual house. It's
it does look pretty legit.
It's similar, but I don't have stone walls in my house and candles on the wall, but I should. I definitely should.
Yeah, not everyone's that posh.
Yeah, well...
Just because you're from Surrey, it doesn't mean you're posh.
Exactly. Well, actually, I was trying to think. Well, when we were sort of came up with the idea for this episode and talked about doing it as an online con, I did actually discover something. While I just had a quick thought. I was like, has anyone made an Animal Crossing RPG? And they have.
They have.
And I think me and my wife are gonna review it pretty soon. It looks quite shite, I'll be honest, but I think that'd be fun to review. Yeah. So yeah, basically that's it for feedback this time. I like that somebody thought that was my actual house, because when you think about it, there was a cartoon character sitting directly in the middle of the photo. So, I mean,
That's exactly how you look, though.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Maybe he just thinks I look like an Animal Crossing character. He's like, oh, Harrison's got a new shirt on.
Yeah, look at him. I was going to say, so with the whole, I was wondering if there was an RPG of this, and oh look, there is. Is it kind of like the Rule 34 of Reddit, where,
Yeah, but no, I think you're absolutely right. Because so for those unaware, Rule 34 is that if there is something, there's a porn version of it, and you can test it. There's a website dedicated to making art of pretty much everything in that vein. And I just thought, one of the main things is I decided to test it once, and I googled. No, actually, no, I'm not going to say that. But yes, I think you're right, Nick. I think.
I know what it was.
Okay, we'll discuss it in the break. But so yeah, I think you are actually right, because all you need to do is dwell on the Savage Worlds Facebook for 5 fucking minutes, and there'll be somebody like, has anyone tried to savage this? And it'll be like, I don't know, a picture of like some pedigree chum
or Cilla Black's blind date.
I do hate that.
Yeah, it's like you could do it yourself, but people are just like, no, has anyone savaged this? Picture of themselves or something, or a box of cereal, or...
Imagine if that's like them getting a book of Savage Worlds and saying, "Has anyone savaged this?"
Savage Worlds.
That's a fucking good idea for a troll post. Like.
I should get Savage. What's the I should get one of the earlier editions and then do that.
Yeah, just get Savage World First Edition or Explorers Edition and be like, has anyone upgraded this to Savage Worlds Adventure Edition?
Great idea.
All right. That is going to be it for feedback. Let's get on to what you've been saying, and we're going to talk about what we've been playing.
One of these. Oi, yeah. What you slaying?
All right, so we've been gaming online ever since the coronavirus happened, and of course, we've been playing a Fallout game. So. We've been using ICRPG for this because it's a pretty decent, simple system to play online, and obviously is loot based. You level up by getting loot, so I think it works for Fallout. And essentially, the whole quest, the whole thing that these guys are doing is trying to find a water purifying chip so that they can give it to a vault and hopefully be let in by the vault and have absolute safety and comfort. And that's basically it. In the last 2 episodes, I think I've just got a bit mad with it because. The last 2 episodes we did a death race in one of them. So they basically found out that this talking car had been sabotaged. It's like Knight Rider, but in Fallout, and it had been sabotaged by the NCR, which is the New California Republic, who own the town. They're supposed to win the race every year to show that they're superior in the town, and so they sabotaged this car, took its like awesome, amazing radioactive atom engine from it and hid it somewhere. The guys went to go and retrieve it, and then were besieged by zomboids.
Yep.
But yeah, and then after they retrieved it, then they did the death race, and yeah. So ICRPG, for those that don't know, is like a really simple D20 system, kind of OSR-ish type game. And one thing I really like about ICRPG is the way it does vehicle combat, because vehicles are broken down into chunks. So you have, it might be a wheel is half a heart, so that's 5 HP. The main body is 2 hearts, so that's 20 HP, and so on and so on. So how did you guys find the race in the game?
I thought it was epic. I thought it was really fun. I like the fact that because of the system itself, it was like all of it was fast paced, and I like the the turn based system where it's like round the table. I enjoy that quite a lot as well, because then you can kind of always guess who's going next by like whose turn it's been. So then as it goes around the table, you know exactly whose turn is coming up. So I think you can plan better.
That's true.
When it's like that.
Mm-hmm. And also what the book says is to kind of switch the order up depending on what you want. So you might put your tank right next to the GM because you know he's going to go first and he can run in and sort of take all the hits. And yeah, it was pretty good because you know when a person's turn's coming up, so you think, okay, Nick is driving, so perhaps what we can do is wait until just before his turn and do our manoeuvres, knowing that he's going to be able to manoeuvre out the way next and whatnot. But Nick, as the main driver, I thought it was pretty funny because Nick's playing probably the most intelligent person on the team. He's an intelligent super mutant, and so he's like never seen a car before or never seen one being driven. And he was like, I see how it works. Like, picked it up within 5 minutes.
I love it, yeah, because he's got quite a good wisdom and intelligence skill, so he tends to pick stuff up quite quickly. Yeah, and he was like, I understand this now. Vehicle. It was so much fun. I mean, you know, a post-apocalyptic Mad Max-esque death race around a town centre. In a town that's run by the, you know, what was that? The New California Republic, right?
Yeah,
NCR. Yeah. So, you know, and they were like, no one's ever beaten us in years, and we was expected to lose, and there was a lot riding on it, and there were some raiders that we'd fallen out with and then made friends with and then fell out with again in the race against it. It was just great.
What was awesome as well is that, like, pretty much the opening gambit by both sets of teams was fucking amazing. And it was like, basically, you got shot up by the NCR. Your car... So it didn't stop completely because it still had some, some speed, and you guys were slowing down massively because your car got reduced to 0 HP. And the rule in ICRPG is you do a death saving roll that tells you how many rounds until you die, but somebody could administer healing to you and you go back up to 1 HP. Now that can be anything from using a stim pack to giving them a pat on the back and saying, "Come on, man, you could do this," or just slapping them across the face and going, snap out of it, or something like this. And so it often leads to these really cool cinematic moments, because what happened is that your car almost slowed to a halt, and then Jackson, who's this like hitman character, he just kicks the front of the car and goes, "Come on!" And then it revives to 1 HP, and you guys start going again, and your car's like barely holding together, but you're just racing around this racetrack. And then,
I love that.
Then James, you shot the fucking NCR guys up, and the funniest thing was is that he didn't manage to heal his car. So the next turn that he had, he's just like, he just stops trying to fix the car, and he's like, "Oh God," and just starts running around the course, like trying his absolute best.
I can't lose this race, and you just see him start pegging it round like ages after we had all finished. And on the Raiders as well, we had Raiders in a dune buggy type thing, weren't they?
Yes,
yeah. What happened with one of them? Because one of them,
I believe that two people in the passenger seats shot them in the face.
That was it. Yeah, and then the car crashed, and then they had to get the dead body out and change the driver.
Yeah, it was fucking good, and it was weird as well, because in that particular episode, what we've been doing is a sandbox type game. Yeah, they've got a mission, but they can go about it in any which way they want. And so between the areas, we often roll for random encounters. I'll say, okay, you have to beat the difficulty, or you're going to get a random encounter. It could be something good, could be something bad, and it's led to us adding new locations to the map and things like this. But on the way to the place to go and get the engine for your car, I rolled for a random encounter, and it just said a strange glowing blue stone, and I was like, well, that's obviously fucking radiation, isn't it? And James has this sort of mech, like power armor type suit, that he picked up the glowing rock with the suit so he wouldn't get irradiated. But then throughout the episode, kept on using it on people like constantly. And,
that was so much fun.
And the
holding it towards people and stuff.
Yeah, and there was this one guy who was actually helping them with the race, but they had an argument, and James held the rock near him to sort of taunt him. And instead of taunting him, it irradiated him instantly. And I rolled on the mutations table, and the guy got frictionless skin. And because he was taking a step backwards, he just slid and slid and slid until he hit a wall and then died.
Splattered, yeah.
and then there was the next one is like they get to this hut where this NCR guy is hanging out guarding the engine, and they're besieged by zombies. But this actually made the fucking encounter really cool, because James held the stone up to him to take the engine back. The guy got the mutation. His brain now just can't care about anything, and he wants to die. It literally says you'll commit suicide in 1d6 rounds. And so the guy suddenly, as this zombie attack was happening, they're boarding up windows trying to stop them from coming in. The guy's trying to tear the boards down, trying to let the zombies in so that he can die.
Come at me then. What's the point?
Yeah, that was so funny. It was the point anymore. Like, are
Yeah.
you going to
mate.
kill me? I don't care if you kill me. Don't kill me. Like, I don't
And
care.
you-
I'm going to kill me.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna die now. Not that anybody cares, and all of this. But the very last use of the irradiated rock was that just before the fucking race, the NCR, it's not the leader, but it's the mayor's aide. He leant over in his car, and James was like, "Hey, come closer," then just holds the rock up. Rolled on the mutation table. The guy grows ears so big he can no longer wear headgear, and he was at the time.
yeah.
So his helmet just pings off, and he spends the whole race with these gigantic ears.
Bunny ears.
I will say I don't think the mutation table that I got is necessarily in the spirit of Fallout, but I do think it's a lot of fun and it's in the spirit of ICRPG, so I don't really care. I think it's really
in
good.
No,
it's
it's
also
worth
in the
it. It's
spirit
well
of
worth
our
it.
games because ours they
Yeah.
are quite gonzo, aren't they?
You know, Fallout
Yeah.
is pretty much gonzo post-apocalyptic anyway. I mean, but the thing is, it's not quite as silly as as it is in our game. But I do think I'm having a lot of fun with it. I mean, we've
Yeah,
now got one of our
worth it.
party members can turn into liquid at will. He can't do anything, but he turns into liquid.
Yeah, DC 15 check, isn't it? Or something
Yeah,
like that.
so no, you just have to beat the difficulty in a given scene with a with an intelligence check.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically what happens is you can just turn into water. So to break into a place, they put him in a bottle and then try to spill him into the doorway.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, so the next episode that we did, we actually just did an episode because I was inspired by listening to the Murder Hobo show. They were talking about the Worldwide Wrestling RPG. And we did a wrestling episode, basically. So it turns out the water purifier was sold to a famous celebrity, a guy called the Pebble, who was a wrestler. And these guys had to enter the wrestling arena and try and find it, and they ended up getting wrapped up in real wrestling matches. And Nick, you're a big wrestling fan. How did you find the episode?
Yeah, I loved it. I was as a wrestling fan, it was fantastic. We had a proper ring map going on with the commentator tables. We had commentators, post-apocalyptic JR and Jerry the King Lawler. We was cutting promos left, right, and centre.
Oh my god, that was so
It was-
funny. Jesus
The
Christ.
It was
promos are
cracking.
amazing, and the thing is, so the main bulk of the team, it was 4 of them. They started a new wrestling team called the Blight Riders, which was fucking cool. And their wrestling theme, because it was like Attitude Era type wrestling, and so their wrestling theme was that they were slavers that have enslaved a super mutant, which is Nick's character, and that was basically their whole gimmick. And they were heels, and so they'd come in, and their plan was to sort of go and wrestle a bunch of people and try to get a shot at the title, so they could speak to the Pebble, who had the water purifying chip. But
Yeah.
Sean's character, this guy called Ray McScriff, who's like a lone wanderer cowboy type, he decided just to peel off on his own and try and hunt the thing backstage. He went
Gotta
into the
peel
Pebble's dressing room, stole his belt from his drawer, smashed him over the back of the head, then tried to convince
Hold
him.
on. Whoa. Before that, don't you remember he jumped into the jockstrap bin and managed to find the Honky Tonk Man's outfit. So he thought he was the Honky Tonk Man.
Well, what was so good about that was that because he jumped into like a bin of laundry that was being pushed along, right, so that he could jump out at the correct door. And he's like, but when I'm in there, I'm going to try and find a disguise. So he rolls a 1. So I said, all he wanted was like a luchador mask. But I thought, you rolled a 1. You're just gonna come out as something ridiculous. And he came out dressed as the Honky Tonk Man. It was like a cartoon. It was fucking stupid.
When he tried to speak like the Honky Tonk Man as well.
His role playing was amazing because he was playing a character, which was just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was so good, and it ended up with him sort of pretending, to the Pebble that he was going to have this, like backstage wrestling bit, and they were going to go and discuss it in his locker room, and he ended up with Sean shooting him in the foot, Ray McScriff shooting him in the foot, and then sort of locking the door. And then once he realised that he got the information that the Pebble had actually sold the water chip to the Brotherhood of Steel, Sean was like, right, fuck this, and starts running out with the whole fucking wrestling organisation chasing him, and he's throwing brine in their eyes.
Throwing brine in their eyes.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And then at that point, you guys all saw this on the Titantron, and were like, okay, right, shit's gone south, time to leave. And there was this huge chase scene with everyone just running out of the building. But not
good.
before Nick's character, Thost, the super mutant, cut a promo because he says he wants to be back and wrestle the Pebble one day and have a shot at that title.
Yeah. So with Fost being very much into his Shakespeare and his theatrics and stuff. He absolutely fell in love with the idea of wrestling and sports entertainment, and I think it's he's found a new love. So he's challenged the Pebble. Hopefully, he can get back for that title shot.
I hope so too, man, because I was like, I didn't think they were going to get so into it that they cared about the wrestling part of it, but it was fucking awesome. Even this guy called Jack Jackson, who's one of the characters, he's like this hitman guy. The player didn't really know that much about wrestling, but he did do some cool moves. Like he Irish whipped somebody and then cut them in half with a samurai sword, which was fucking awesome. Yeah. Also, two characters, I can't remember who it was, but two of the characters knocked out a guy with one of the most spectacular moves I've ever seen in an RPG. So in wrestling, during a match, you'll often see other characters come in and interfere. You know, they'll run down to the ring and start wailing on a guy.
Yeah.
And what was brilliant is two of the characters interfered in a match that someone else was having. They run down to the ring. Somebody climbs up on the turnbuckle from the outside of the ring, does a frog splash, does like 6 damage to the guy. The guy's got 10 HP, right? Then somebody else runs in, climbs up the turnbuckle and does it again. It was a double frog splash, one after the other, and it just obliterated the guy. Yep. It was fucking awesome.
It was amazing. And I was just like, as soon as it came, because it was Ryan's character first, and it's Sam Bridges, and then as soon as Ryan did it, because I wrote in our little chat window, I was like, double team move, and as soon as he did it, I just went, yep, I'm doing exactly the same from this turnbuckle instead. And then
it was a proper like Hardy Boys type move. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the dice gods were in our favour.
Yeah.
Because you rolled astronomically high. Now, the thing is, I'm fairly certain in ICRPG, because you have different types of effort depending on what you're doing. I'm fairly certain unarmed is supposed to be basic effort, but in a particular case, because it's a wrestling match, I felt like, you know, it kind of makes sense that it would be a D6, because it's just, I don't know, you don't have weapons and it's going to last forever if we're all rolling untrained D4s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was pretty good. I thought the wrestling thing went really well, and actually the moves that you do in wrestling translated really well to a tabletop.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
like,
it was surprisingly such an amazingly good episode, considering it was literally just wrestling.
Yeah, it was so good. I got DDT'd, but because it was the guy's special move, and in fact that I was on quite low health anyway, I just didn't get back up off the mat.
Oh man, that was so funny, because Thoster's this super mutant man. He's a big fucker, but he didn't heal from the travelling that he'd done all the way up to the wrestling arena.
Battered.
And so there's this match, like Thoster's talking shit about how he's going to take him down, all of this stuff, and there's all this like big talk happening around the stage, and he's just got a match with this great wrestler called the Bus Driver, who's like one of the most respected wrestlers in the scene. And then, like, literally first move, the Bus Driver out initiatives him, gets a crit, so he rolls ultimate effort, and it turns out that was his finisher, so he just does his finisher as the first move, which you would never see in a wrestling match.
And the commentators were like, in an unprecedented move, he uses his special move as his opening move.
Yeah, and it was just one move and Thoster's fucking down. That's why the interference happened, because the other characters are pissed. They run down to the ring and start slaying people, but then the Bus Driver's mates start coming down to the ring, and we had the Gravedigger and
Wrestletron.
Yeah.
Now dispensing suplex.
Yeah. And it was just all the drama of a wrestling game.
I can't believe Sean's whole bit part in the background, because we just focused on right now. We only discussed what happened in the ring. Whereas Sean, with his time away, he was with the Pebble for ages, the entire match. And then how did he end him up?
It was fucking weird as well, because when he shot him in the foot and he was interrogating him, trying to find out where the water chip was, there was a point like an hour earlier where they were sitting in the lunchroom, and I said, right, he's eating a salad, which I realised retrospectively wouldn't have been existed in the Fallout universe. But anyway, the point is that Sean, as they were leaving to go back to the Pebbles dressing room, he goes, oh yeah, I'll take the salad. And I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. So he picks up the salad, and then to shut him up later on, he stuffs salad in his mouth. It was fucking
it was
weird,
so
man.
Funny. The image of that in my head, I was creasing.
But anyway, yeah, we'll leave the what we've been saying discussion there. But essentially, yeah, now they've got the information about the water chip, and they're heading over to the Brotherhood of Steel, and that's where we've left it. It was a really fun episode.
Yeah.
I thought you guys did a cracking job of playing the wrestling personas as well.
It was hilarious.
All right, so let's get on to the main subject: how to run an online convention.
Main. Subject. Magic. Main. Subject. Tokyo. Main. Subject.
Once a year, we run a small local convention called SavageCon, where it's dedicated to Savage Worlds, and of
Yes.
course the book Savage Continent.
Stop.
Yeah, but yeah, we do that once a year, and obviously this year we couldn't do it because it's all been corona'd up. So instead, what we decided to do was run it online, and the three of us are actually the organisers. I mean, that's why we had James back on today to talk about this, because we organised it and we decided to switch to online. And so, yeah, first of all, my first point that I put on the list, we're going to try and teach you guys how to sort of run your own online convention should you want to. And the first thing is, why do an online convention? Let's say, for example, it goes back to the way it used to be without the coronavirus, and we can then go to physical ones. Why do an online one anyway? Nick?
Why do an online one? Well, there's less logistics to it, for starters. So just getting everybody together in real life is obviously has its challenges. I think with a virtual platform, it does make it a little bit easier. People don't need to leave their house. They don't need to travel. You know, as long as they've got a computer and an internet connection, then they should be able to get involved. So I guess from the connectivity side of it is a little bit easier, definitely, and logistics.
Well, that's just it. I mean, because our first online convention that we went to was FGCon,
Yeah.
Fantasy Grounds Con, which is run on TeamSpeak. And that's a really, really good one. And the thing is like you say, there's less logistics and travel, obviously. And that means that people from all over the world can come along and be part of it, which is fucking awesome. I mean, when we went to FGCon, that was mainly your classic foreigners, wasn't it? But we were there.
We were there, mucking in, but that was great. And and also another thing is obviously you're not limited to space. So SavageCon, it's obviously being a nice, friendly, like smaller convention. We have free gaming tables, but yeah, doing it online, you have unlimited tables, conceivably, yeah.
But I mean, not to but there are three big tables, you know.
Oh, they're good tables. Don't get me wrong. They're real
they're
good
some
tables.
of the best tables I've ever seen.
Yeah, table two especially.
So it's not about the amount. It's not about the amount of tables, right? It's about the quality.
It's about
of
the quality of the table. I'll tell you.
They've got 4 legs, therefore a table.
Savage.
That's true.
SavageCon 2021. Check out table 2. Nice, real nice.
That's actually, you know, because we did actually take fees from people for the convention to go towards the prizes and of course the venue, right? And the truth is, I really did get a refund. I just spent it all on tables.
You motherfucker.
No, I actually haven't got a refund yet. The annoying thing is they said, I'll call back tomorrow and speak to the manager. And then I called them, and then they said, I got an answer phone message. We're currently closed due to coronavirus. Like, cool, I'll get that refund next year then.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Currently spending your refund.
Yeah, anyway, but yeah, so if you want to do an online convention, it's actually pretty decent because you're not limited to space, you're not limited to travel, you're not anything like this, and it realistically should be easier.
There's also something else that also is a benefit of having an online convention, and that is gear, because all you need is internet connection and a mic. You don't need to have a video because most of the time there's no video transmission, but internet connection and a mic, and then mostly like your dice, your player book, your character sheet, all of that is also online. So it's just you, your computer, and a microphone. That's it.
And let's face it, if you play this hobby, you already have all of that stuff, so you can just have it sitting next to your laptop or whatever, or on your computer. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And at SavageCon, we'd said, people can use whatever virtual tabletops they want, or SavageNet, as we called it this year. People can use whatever virtual tabletops they want, but some people just use Discord, and they just would, send out character sheets and have people roll on their desks and just use voice, which is a perfectly acceptable way of doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get into, actually, that brings me on to what you need to set up to make an online convention. Because obviously we had the Discord, and Nick, you set this up. So talk to me about, not like in massive terms how you did it, but what you kind of did to set up the Discord.
Well, luckily enough, Discord is incredibly helpful. Simple. Because,
it's not helpful.
It's not helpful at all. No, it's simple. Well, to an extent, especially for someone like me who's getting a bit old now. Technology is a little bit difficult. No, it's not really, but no, it's perfect because it's it's exactly what it is there for. It's a platform that's used for PC gamers to be able to use voice chat within games, right? So that all the options are already there for you to use. You just press a button to literally create a server, and then you can just start pasting out the link to for people to join, and it's simple as that. You have a text-based channel and you have voice channels. You add as many as you like. Or just have the one. If you're having one game, just have one voice channel.
So obviously we already had all the games and the schedules set up before the convention because we were doing the physical one. And so you just went in and just added a voice channel for each game and named it. And we called them rooms because it's a convention. But you just had a voice channel for each game. So players know immediately when they sign up to the Discord, all you do is click a link and you go there. And then once you're on there, if you know what time you've got to be where, and your room is there. Simple as that.
Yep.
And for the text channels, we had a main chat and an announcements channel, so people could post in links to their games should they need to.
Yep. And then we just pinned the timetable on the text channel, so everybody knew that basically when they load into the server, it's right there, so they can see their games and what times they are. And I just changed all the GMs on there to red, and so people could easily find them in the chat if they needed to drop them a little message about the game.
Nice.
Yeah, and we actually have quite we did for when it was a physical convention. We have this really really snazzy fucking sign up sheet that James made where people can tick the options for which one they want and sign up, and it even has like a little box to say I'm aware that I do need to pay to come to this convention, things like this. But we kind of had to sack that in the bin because we're now doing an online convention. We had this open spreadsheet where people could enter their games and stuff like this. So you set that all up, James. How did you go out about setting up the sign up sheets?
Well, I'm a bit of a nerd, so I love spreadsheets. So it was kind of like pretty. I say fun. Maybe that's a really loser term to use, but I'm going to use it anyway. It was fun for me. I mean, it was really simple because obviously you just got your GMs and players and the game name and stuff. But then there was also a section to select a virtual tabletop. Now, what it was, it's just literally just like a grid, and then it flowed from left to right per game, and then down the page for each game separately. And then I put a couple formulas in there so that you could use a filter, so you could filter by time, filter by GM, filter by game. So if you had it on desktop and then you wanted to see what games just you were playing, you could filter to your own name and then see all the games you're in and stuff like that.
Which, let's be honest, was very clever. And you also had some uneditable boxes for games that were finalised as well, so people couldn't change them. But you know what fucking pisses me off is that somebody had obviously changed the filters. And then loads of people came in and started texting me, and they were like, something's happened with the spreadsheet. Every game except for yours has gone. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is. And I had called James and was like, somebody's saying this. That's probably them being an idiot, but can you just check? And then he was like, yep, I just turned the filters off. It was that simple.
Yeah.
It was basically like nothing too flashy, but it was just a well-made spreadsheet with a couple of
it was great. And do you know what? I liked it because it was, some games there was people asking over spaces and stuff, and then it was just a really nice idea of if you got the maximum number being, say, 6 players or 8 players, and then you could just have a box for each person's name. And if a GM only wanted 4 or 5 as a max amount, then we just put no space underneath, so people should be able to come in and see, there's an loose space, there's an open space, or this game's only taken 4, so that's full. Loose space.
For the record, we used Google Sheets, which is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, it is.
And so it just goes to show, it's 2 free things that you can do it with, to start with. I saw in somebody's empty space, you could have just put no space underneath it, right? If you wanted to like say I've got a max of 4 players, but somebody put the max is 5 players, please, thank you.
Canadian.
Yes, it was a Canadian, yes. But I liked that. It was like such a polite way of doing it.
Yeah, that was really. I just put no space because I was like, right, 6 is fine. I can't.
Can I just say though, if you're running a game, a convention, be it online or offline, right, come up with a good fucking description for your game, please. Because the thing is, what you have to remember, right? This is like when people are browsing the games. If you want people to fucking play in your game, right, they're going to be browsing and they're going to be looking for something that takes their fancy. If you put your game down, let's say for example you're playing, I don't know, Savage Star Trek, right? And you just put down Savage Star Trek, and then you just put in the description Savage Star Trek, and people are going to be like, I don't know, that's not very descriptive.
Yeah.
I wonder what their GM style is going to be like.
It's Star Trek, but savage.
That's that's terrible. You need to be way more descriptive, because it's not going to be. Everyone has their own opinion of it. Like, not everyone has seen an episode or knows what Star Trek is, believe it or not. So you need to be descriptive and tell us what it's going to be about, what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Otherwise, nobody's going to sign up.
Yeah, exactly. You got to sell it, ain't you? Really, that's the thing. You know, if you want to get people in your games, then sell it.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Now, remember that for next time we do this convention, please.
Yeah.
Actually, all the games were pretty much full, so it worked out in the end. We had a couple of dropouts, but then we had loads of new people come in as well. So, you know, we ended up having most of the games completely full. So I in addition to the Discord and the sign-up sheets, those are the only two essential things you need. But you really do need some way to promote your game, and I as alongside with you two run the Facebook as well, mainly me, but you guys also help out there. And basically, you know, anyone can create a fucking Facebook page, but just make sure you have, you know, some cool artwork and things for your banners and stuff like this. And make sure that you, whenever I do an announcement on the Facebook, let's say I'm announcing GM sign-ups or player sign-ups, I always make like a little image for it rather than just saying it as text, because I don't want it to be ignored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Images do sort of bring it to the front and you know, they spotlight it more.
Of course they do.
I did like it because I forget what Olympus Inc., that Savage World setting. I've got to be honest, I did use artwork from that, and I didn't particularly ask the people who made the game if I could use it. But the authors came onto the Facebook, somebody tagged them in there, and one of the authors was like, sweet artwork you got there, bro. And I was like, yeah, thanks, I really like it. And he's like, I think he was fine with us using it, but I'm like, man, I'm not paying for it.
They were. I saw a post that they shared elsewhere, and they said, oh my god, it's official, guys. The Savage Con in the UK have used our artwork as their logo this year, kind of thing. So they were honoured, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
They were honoured.
It was good art.
It was good art. That's why I used it, borrowed it.
Borrowed it. It's a promo.
Yes, borrowed it.
But yeah, that's basically it for all the stuff you have to set up. It couldn't be easier. I mean, probably do a Twitter as well and maybe a MeWe, but you know, I can't be bothered.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's you know, some people are like, I don't like Facebook, and it's like understandable, but at the same time, it's quite an easy
good
one
for groups, and everyone has it, you know.
Boom, successful.
Yeah, so the next thing I wanted to talk about, actually, and this sort of feeds into the Facebook thing, is trying to keep the hype going. Because I don't know if you guys know this phenomenon, you know, and it's especially if you have a lady partner or a man partner in your life, or a other partner in your life. But you know, your other half, they might say to you like, oh, by the way, so-and-so's asked us around for drinks in September. And it's like somebody you don't like, but you'll just go, yeah, because the idea of September just seems so far away that you just agree to it. And, you know, people do that with conventions as well. And I'm not going to say who it was because I don't want to embarrass them, but there was somebody that I called them up and went, hey, how's the prep going for your game this Saturday? And went, oh, look, what? That's this Saturday? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I completely forgot. And I'm like, it's not just that person, but I know so many people do that. They just agree to something in the future. Oh, a con, I'll run a game of that. And it's like, fucking hell, last year, January, April seemed so far away.
Come round quick.
So I think what you got to do is announce the convention that year within a couple of months and try to keep regular posts. Like, I like to post little adverts with borrowed artwork from Google and post little adverts for the games, you know, especially if they need a couple more players to be in, and just post like their description with a cool piece of artwork and what table and what time it's on, you know.
I really like those ones that you did because it was like you always spotlighted them, and it also allowed for that GM to kind of showboat a bit and just be like, oh yeah man, like this is the game I'm going to run, it's going to be awesome. And then it also promoted the con at the same time.
Yeah, totally. And it's also nice to trickle it as well, because if you was like Savage Net, these are all the games, did it all in one big post or one day post full of full of all these games, it might dilute it a little. But if what we would do, what Harrison was doing, which was really cool, was just like, give it a week, then drop another spotlight on another game, and just keep that interest going, but at the same time not over kind of expose it in a way where it gets annoying, where it's just in the feed all day.
If it was the same thing over and over again, then eventually people would like turn off notifications or unfollow the page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also, and keeping that hype going is important, because it means that it's a fun atmosphere around it, and especially during these times. I wanted the community aspect of it to be something that would make people happy, that we could be excited about, you know what I mean? And then it was like that, kind of doing those little posts. It's like, still, it fucking sucks that we can't do this in person, but still we can get fucking hype about it. And also, it does mean that people don't fucking forget that they've just signed up to run a game.
And you can keep the conversation going in the lead up to a con. Getting people that want to come engaged and stuff, asking questions, just off topic questions or whatever. Just keeps the conversation going while you're building up to the convention. And also, we look like we got a big influx of people quite towards the end. It was crazy because there was more people talking about it and sharing it, and towards the end we actually got quite a lot more than we did. Yeah, it was great. I mean,
you had some randos turn up as well.
We turned it around really quick.
Loads of people that just moseyed on in to see what was going on, and then just ended up playing in games.
Spectate and then see a slot, jump in.
Which is brilliant.
Awesome.
That's another good thing, about an online convention. We kept sign-ups open this time right up until the day of the convention.
Yeah.
In fact, they weren't even closed on the day of the convention because why? It doesn't matter. People can just jump in if they like.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, you could just turn up to SavageCon UK, the physical one, and just jump into a game.
It's just up to a GM. If they can accommodate you, they will.
Well, exactly.
Let me tell you,
it was nice.
I've got a secret weapon, right? No, sorry, go on, Nick.
No, it's all right. All it was nice because it was, obviously a kind of a last minute thing regarding us having to port over to online just so we could get a convention going for everybody. We thought, leave the GM sign-ups open now. It's online, and we actually did get a couple of games that were later for like more America friendly, and that was a nice little thing because keeping it open meant that we could have bolt-ons come on, and it was great for that.
Totally. And I just wanted to speak actually and I want to say about my secret weapon.
Go on.
If you see, one of the things, if you run a fucking Facebook group and you have to make an announcement, getting people to pay fucking attention to the announcement is really quite difficult. So when the con was cancelled and we were redoing it at SavageNet and stuff like this and playing online, I needed people to actually pay attention to the post. And there's this picture, just put attention meme into Google, and there's this picture of it's a Japanese guy on a piece of paper with a really stern face sort of stuck to a wall, and it just says attention. Now I have your attention, or thank you for your attention, or something like this. And it's a really strange picture, but it's impossible to ignore when you see it. The guy's got such an arresting face.
Yeah. Arresting.
But yeah, that's basically it. Keep hype up. And another thing is, obviously, you're going to want people to come to the bloody convention, so you should promote it.
Yeah.
However, I will say the only reason that this was a success was because other people promoted it. We didn't really do much. We've had a lot of people filter in, through the Savage Worlds groups, and the page has got quite a few likes from previous years and things like this. But most of the new people that turned up was because other players were excited about their games, or posting it on this group, that group, and stuff like this. So
yeah, but that's what you've got to do, right? The reason why that happened was because of the keeping the hype going, right? And that was the spotlighting the game, spotlighting all that. It meant it drew attention to that GM's game. So perhaps they were just like, sweet, this is all about my game. I'm going to share this post, and then I'm going to talk to my friends about it and try and get them to join in and stuff. And that's why it happened. And obviously, the community-wise, in this world of ours, is pretty nice. It's pretty nice and ripe. So as long as you do it right and kind-heartedly, and you're not being a douche, like everyone should reciprocate in that way as well.
No, you're absolutely right. And Cyclops Con, the DCC one, went online as well, and that happened the same weekend that we were doing this, and it was kind of similar. I just saw mainly it was people that were running games or playing in games just sharing it on Facebook. So for promotion, I would say if the people in your group aren't already doing it, do something like that. Share it on your personal Facebook or on the groups that you're part of or whatever. Try and get people coming
along now.
Here's a little something for the hustlers. Yeah. What's up with that? Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. What's up with that?
So let's talk about the sort of little touches that you make to the convention. You know, any other little bits that you guys want to talk about that made
I'll
it
go
good?
for one.
Go.
There was a kind of a colour scheme that was adapted. Try to do this each year, like the colour of the logo, the actual Savage Con. It's mostly been red this whole time. So last time there was a lot of red involved. There was also a lot of red involved in this one. But when it changed to Savage Net, like all the colour scheme, at least on the Facebook page, appeared to sort of fit to that. The sign-up sheet, etc., remained as the Savage Con, and there was a lot of sort of red in that. So when you go into it, it's like it feels branded,
Bit of branding,
even though
yeah.
it's just
Bit
colours.
of branding, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like that's the
when I
nice little
switched
touch
to,
that I like.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty fun thing to do. I also made all of the promo material. I made it like we were cool hackers playing on our computers in the future. Did you notice that?
Yeah, you put all the Facebook text changes on. That was fun.
Yeah. I tried to make it look as if somebody's hacked in and made it online, bro.
Yeah, but that is a little touch.
It's fun,
that
though.
makes it.
Yeah.
That little effort, that little nuance there, just makes it. Ooh,
Little brand.
This is
I have to
exciting.
say, Nick's idea was fucking great to have an after party, sort of lounge, and everyone got in there and started drinking after the con.
That was great. I didn't think anyone would turn, because my game finished a little bit earlier, so I was like, right, well, I better get in there. So I was there from about 20 to 10, and there was like nobody at all for ages. And then Ace came in, and we was having a chat for a while, which was nice. But I'm glad by the time my computer decided to die, it was there was about 18 people in there.
No way.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good, and that's the point where somebody accused me of saying that I was a communist once. I'm fairly certain I was joking, but yeah. It was really funny, man. We were talking about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
We were talking about Genkem, like loads of stuff. It was really funny, and you know, it was loads of really, really awesome people in there. But you know, all we did was just sit around chatting and have a drink. I'd gone midnight. There was still 10 to 12 people in there, still hanging out.
Yeah.
And people
all the
kept filtering
Americans
in
on
and
there.
out. Yeah, all the Americans, exactly. So it's weird because obviously it would be 10, so it was only just 5. 5 o'clock
Oh my
for
God,
the East
yeah.
Coast Americans
Yeah.
at least.
Were they at that point, right? Because I know that loads of them were sort of awake at whatever time in the morning to say attend like some of the first lot of games and stuff. At least we know Eric was, because he shared a photo saying, "Oh, it's 6 a.m. where I am, but games already
Yeah, that was nice.
going."
Yeah,
and
that
he
made me
sent
feel
one
good.
like a midway shot. But so for the people you're saying it was 5 p.m. for them, but were any of them absolutely trolleyed already?
You know what? I actually don't know, because the thing is the way I did my fucking games, and this I think was smart of me, was that what I did is I ran my 2 games in the morning and the midday slot, right, and then in the evening one I played so I could have a break, and it was sort of towards the end of Conrad's fucking great game, which we'll get into in a bit. Towards the end of that, I fucking started drinking. I ordered a bottle of rum from Amazon and was laying into that a little bit, and fucking I started drinking at the end of that, and then I was a little bit drunk when the after party started, so I couldn't really tell, but I know I was hammered, man. Like by the end of it, it got to about midnight, and I was like, "Fucking hell, I need to go to bed."
I was all
like,
tuckered
I
out.
feel
Yeah.
so tired.
I was shattered, absolutely shattered that day, but it was worth it. But yeah, I was
well,
knackered.
we put a lot of effort in, because both of us ran 2 games. And the fucking annoying thing about this was, and I'm not complaining, man. It's like too much. It's not really anyone's fault. But what was annoying was, I ran 2 games I already had pre-made, right? So I had one in the back of the Tough Guys book. I ran Tough Guys, and I had that all prepared. I had my Aliens versus Rednecks game, had that all prepared. All I needed to do was just print out both of the fucking things and bring them to the virtual con.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to do for prep. I was making it easy for myself this time. And then obviously we went online. And so I had to now enter all the fucking character sheets into the thing.
Tell me about it.
Like port over all the maps, make new maps.
Yep. We had to scramble, and the thing was, is like if we had a little bit more time. I mean, I definitely think that Savage Net should be a regular thing going forward, because it was great.
Yeah.
But we literally had to scramble a convention in about 10 days, because when we pulled the plug on the physical one, we really didn't want to and wait until the last minute. But when it was when we realised that it wasn't going to happen, we just had to port it all over in like no time at all, and it's like try and pull a convention out of our arse online. But I think we done all right. If we had a bit more time next time, we do even better, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I feel as if it was helped by a lot of people because we were trying to pull everything together and our games at the same time, and a lot of the other people, the people that turned up and ran games, I was convinced that Savage Worlds wasn't that good on Roll20, so. But then I sort of played in another game and I was just like, fucking hell, like, actually, this can be really good.
It is great,
if you know your shit,
And a huge thank you to all the gems. Well, they are gems, let's be honest. But to all the GMs, to all them GM gems out there that did also do the same thing that we had to do, bless them, and get all their games online last minute.
Yeah. So, fucking... The very last thing I wanted to touch on was should you charge for an online convention? I do think that maybe if you're a creator and you've made a convention, it's not that you have a moral imperative to charge, but I think it would be fair to charge a small amount per person that wants to come. I, however, didn't really feel that it was justified to do so because, I didn't give up that much time to get it all set up, and we'd already charged people to come to the physical one, for which, refund pending everyone. I'll hopefully get everyone's money back. But the annoying thing is it was only a $5 per person, but it's annoying and I want to get that back to people. And so charging again for an online convention or charging for the people that hadn't already paid. Ideally, we wanted bums and seats and we wanted people to turn up and play fucking games. And I didn't want to put any barriers between that and the fun. So,
Well, it was more about community because, like, let's face it, the physical one, like, we have to say this because this is always, I mean, because the podcast is that as well. It's all of it's non-profit.
Yes,
it's always non-profit. Like, so the physical one was non-profit. So all the money went to was the prizes and the hiring of the place, and that's it. And if anything, because this has happened in the past 2 years. Some of us become out of pocket, but we don't care because it's all for the joy of the con.
Par for the course, yeah.
Exactly, and in this case, an online convention has no overheads. Unless, you might buy stuff for your game, but you get to keep that anyway, so shut up. I personally wouldn't charge for this, but I don't have anything against people that do charge for their online conventions at all.
And if they're going to charge something stupid, though, you can fuck off.
But for example, CyclopsCon, I can't remember what the badges price were for CyclopsCon, but I really fucking wanted to go to that. But you get to play with fucking like Doug Kovacs and Jen Brinkman and Jeff Godin, all the people from Spellburn and all of these like celebrities. I would probably cut off my right arm to go to CyclopsCon. I mean, it's unfortunate. True. It's really unfortunate that our con was that same weekend because I was like,
can you believe it?
I could fucking go to CyclopsCon on Sunday, but there was no way that was happening. Sunday, I felt like I wanted to die. I was like fucking. I was hungover. I was exhausted. Yeah, exactly.
I just don't want to catch him in bed with a goblin. But if he's in there rolling around hacking him up, and he's got a goblin guide, taking him into the cave, I'm not expecting him to not get dirty.
For the next segment, what we're going to do is we're going to then talk about the games we played, and hopefully you guys at home can get some cool ideas from this, and hopefully have your gaze turned into the direction of some cool products. Alright, so let's talk about the games that we played. We'll sort of alternate between Nick and I, and we'll try to keep this more brief than the What You've Been Slaying segment, otherwise we'll be here till COVID is over. So, Tough Guys. This is the expansion to Wise Guys that turns it into a London gangster setting in the 90s, and that was the first game I ran. Ran the adventure from the back of the book, and I have to say it went fucking funnily. Today. Yeah. Anyway, so the premise of this is that you're a bunch of hard nuts that own a posh tea room as a front for selling drugs. Some guys muscle in on your turf and sell drugs from a kebab restaurant, and you have to track down the leader and bring him back alive. That was it. But the funny thing is that the first encounter, you go over to the kebab shop and you can go about it many different ways, but the ultimate thing is that you find out where the boss's warehouse is from the two kebab guys that work there. And they absolutely steamrolled the two guys. They wrapped one of them up in duct tape and chucked him up in the back of the van. But one of them, there's a character called Harry the Man Masher, right? And the guy that played him, this guy called Taviz, he was the man of the match because he never broke character. Even when he was describing what his character does, he's like, right, so Harry gets out of the car, right, and then he's smashing the guy in the face, and he's like that. But the funniest thing was, right, is that this was amazing, right? So they did a kind of interlude in the back of the van. He was sitting in the back of the van watching this kebab guy or gangster that he tied up. Oh, hello.
I do like
So
to live beside the seaside. Sorry.
Sorry, that was my alarm, listeners. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, Harry the Man Masher's in the back of this car with this Turkish gangster guy, right? And he's like, "Can we stop and get some pick and mix?" So they pick and mix, for those who don't know, it's like you take sweets, fill up a bag, and then pay for the bag. Yeah. Anyway, they stopped at Woolworths to go and get pick and mix, and the kebab guy in the back, he's like, "Can I have some pick and mix?" And then the guy's like, "No, wait, do you have a pound on you?" And he's like, "No, I don't." And then the kebab guy says to him, he's like, "Can you pay for the chips you stole from my shop earlier?" And he's like, "How much was it?" And he's like, "A pound." So he gives the Turkish guy a pound, and then the gangster kind of brings the Turkish guy into Woolworths with him to go and buy pick and mix. It was fucking stupid, right? But what they did, and this is the second time this has happened. I don't know why this always happens, but he spent a penny to influence the story. So bennies in Savage Worlds, they can be used to re-roll, get a new initiative card, loads of things. But one of the things they can now do is influence the story. And he said he influenced the story so that his girlfriend works at Woolworths and would let him round the back. So they went round the back, climbed up on the roof so they could get a vantage point of the other gangster's warehouse. And then this other guy, Crazy D, who's a football hooligan, also jumped off of the roof and tried to dropkick somebody from a 3-story high building. But because he's got such great toughness, he wasn't damaged, he was just shaken. He just smashed into these boxes below and just got up and was like, "Right, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough."
Oh my God, just brushed himself down.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was insane. There was like people with shotguns. One guy entered berserk mode and just started going crazy, like just slaughtering people. All the other guys were basically at the back, while the two hardest guys just slaughtered everyone. The two guys that were at the back shaking everyone and distracting people with insults. And then meanwhile the accountant, that was exactly what it was like. And the accountant, right, he tries to jump down and get a safe landing on top of a truck in the warehouse and bungles it, smashes on his arse, gets shaken and one wound from it. It was fucking mental. But yeah, insane session, really good, and all the players did such a cracking job of role playing. And you know what, I don't mean to be disparaging about any of the people that played, but I always find that people that are a little bit on the older scale of things are better role players. And they were fan-fucking-tastic. I had an intense time, and they ended up capturing the leader and being chased back to the Holloway tea rooms by a bunch of police. But a genius move by the guy who's playing Bob the Slob, who's this thief. He decides to pick up a bunch of money and throw it out the window, and so people pour into the streets and the police can't get past. And it was genius.
Very good.
But Nick, at the same time I was playing that, you were playing Savage the Destiny game.
Savage the Destiny game. Yes, I was. So yeah, I decided I love Destiny, the video game, playing it for years. So I thought, well, you know, it's full of lore. It's basically like Harrison said. It's you know, just a fantasy game in space. So should work as an RPG. So yeah, gave it a go. So I got one of my just an adventure that I enjoyed from the actual game, and turned it into an episode or an RPG episode, if you like. Great. Again, I had some great role players. I had two guys that I hadn't met before. They were fantastic, and then I had an old school mate and my mate Rye, obviously from our group, who we know from before. Yeah, and was Dan in my game as well? Can't remember now. But yeah, it was really good. So we had to started off at the tower. Gave them a kind of you know, if they hadn't played Destiny before, wanted to kind of show the world to them and what it's like. So we had like a competition where they went up against some training bots to win some wicked exotic guns before they got off the tower. That went really well. And then they had a mission where they had a fire team that had gone basically radio dark, and they had to find out what was going on down on Titan. They had been exploring some hive rituals that were going on, and then they'd lost contact with the Guardians, and they had to, you know, the classic, go down and find out where they went. And yeah, it was fantastic. We there was a guy playing a EXO, and oh my god, he was so good. I had to stop giving him bennies in the end because it was so great. He was like a super intelligent robot. So anything that he kind of mentioned was like, what is it? He's like, hive wizards are known to be a and he was just like plugged into Wikipedia constantly, and he was just coming out of all these facts at like a million miles per hour about everything. But it was
awesome.
just
That's
so
fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. We had a big fight in the we had a big fight outside when they was trying to break into some like there was some like locks on the door where they like runes almost, and they had been like enchanted and stuff, and they had to try and get in there before this big massive giant came after them, and they had a big fight outside. And yeah, no, it was just a really, really fun
it sounds great.
game.
As far as I know, you ran it as kind of a sort of dungeon crawl, right? Because that's kind of how
pretty much.
Destiny is anyway, you know.
Exactly, yeah. So it was more like a dungeon crawl. Started off with a kind of a basic training thing just to get them a taste for it. Then they went down.
I thought actually that was a very, very clever idea, because Nick basically came up with the idea where you had all these in Destiny, the really rare guns. They're called exotics, and they'll do something cool. Like you might have one that reloads itself every time you get a kill or something like that, and that's pretty easy to port over to Savage Worlds. But what was cool was that you could just start your game. If you're playing maybe at a con, you could print all of your little exotics out and put them on the table, and like everyone gets to pick one of these, but you made them sort of earn it at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I thought it's actually a very clever way of doing things as well, because it means that players can get used to their character before they now have this super cool ability on their gun, you know what I mean?
Well, that was it, yeah. That's what I wanted them to kind of get an idea of the battle without there being too much at risk, if you know what I mean. So I thought if I do it in a kind of way where they, you know, and it's still a nod to Destiny by going down into the Crucible for a bit of PvP, or you know, in the video game, I thought that would be a nice way to kind of showcase what Destiny's like, and also a good way to get some loot right from the get go. So yeah, it went down pretty well. So they all got some cool exotics which were utilised throughout the game. Well, I think they liked it anyway. I hope they did, but they were fantastic. I was going to say all the players really done really, really well.
Sounds great, man. And also, you know, because they were quite high powered characters, so it must have been really fun to just fuck some shit up, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we was having grenade bolts going off all over the place, void damage explosions. They were using their exotic weapons. So I had to throw a fair few enemies at them that were pretty high power, but no, they cleared them up. It was really good. A big boss fight at the end. Yeah, it was really good fun. So thank you everybody involved. I had a great time.
Yeah, next one I played was Aliens vs Rednecks. This is another it's an adventure I wrote with Eric Lamoureux a long time ago. And James, you've run this one before actually, and
yep.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, it's a really easy, good one. If anyone hasn't seen it or picked it up yet, it's a piece of piss to run. I literally picked it up and then ran it.
Yeah.
That was it.
And then we told him he's got to come back and play it. He just ran off of it. No, sorry, terrible joke.
What's that?
Terrible joke.
I didn't even hear the first part, so
That's
I'm sure.
Alright, don't worry. He said I just picked it up and ran it, and I said yeah, and then we had to tell him to come back.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid. Fucking hell.
Sake, Nick.
I just picked it up and ran. He's like, right, I'm running this game. See ya.
Sorry.
Anyway, enough of that. Right, this podcast is very serious. This isn't time for jokes. All right, no, I've told you about this. Fucking Aliens vs Rednecks. Essentially, you play the aliens and you need to capture a beauty queen because she is the cure to a hideous disease that has ravaged your planet. That means that your planet, the reason it's been ravaged so bad, the best minds out there, the heroes, the soldiers, the doctors, they're not the ones coming to pick up the beauty queen and the cure to the disease. No, it's actually just regular folk like you or I. And on the planet, your job is determined by what power you're born with. Each alien has a different power. So, for example, there's one that is a window cleaner, and so he has the wall walker power. There's one that's a saleswoman, and so she has the mind reading power, and so on and so on. Anyway, this game, like the cool thing about the actual adventure is that it's essentially a really simple thing. Grab the girl, take her back to the ship, and then it comes with a bunch of complications and twists that you can throw in the way of that. But the thing is, they sort of made complications just sort of happen, because what happens is the first scene, they're going along, they see a parade, they see her right there on the fucking float. So and they you know, there's townspeople are everywhere, and she's within an arm's reach. So all you got to do is grab her. That's it. You just got to get the fuck out. And the players they got really weird really fast, because what happened is one of them got up in a box and started preaching about Jesus. One of them had the shapeshifter ability, turned into a waffle balloon outside a waffle hut to try and attract all the fat Texans over to go and get a look at this big waffle, right? But then it wasn't just a normal waffle, it was a waffle, but you know when you get a bit of toast and it's got Jesus' face in it by accident?
Oh yeah.
It was like that, but it was like Jesus' face in the syrup of the waffle, but it's also just an inflatable balloon. And then the preacher guy starts going, oh my God, it's the Lord Jesus, and preaching about this balloon. And I'm like, okay, right. Everyone's distracted, right? You've got a fair distraction. Everyone isn't paying attention to you. What do? The guy goes, I keep preaching. The other guy goes, right, I stay as a balloon. One of them goes, right, I get in the float, and I'm going to start running over all the Texans. And he just backs it up, starts running over, like kills about 50 of them, and it just got mad. And like I was like, okay, so everything's completely clear. Almost within the first 20 minutes. Like, I would say.
That's the most like bizarre I think I've heard it go.
The thing is,
so quickly.
Yeah, and they had like a clear shot to the fucking woman now, right? She's standing on the float. Everyone's either distracted or dead, right? And she's standing there, and I'm like, right, you got a clear shot. She's standing right there. She's like, oh my God, nobody's even paying attention to me. And then one guy just goes, right, I'm gonna sort of take her, and we're gonna go to I can't remember where they were going, like the cinema or something. They weren't even going back to the ship. And I was like, what are you guys doing? This is mad. Like the plot sort of went out the window almost straight away. They did eventually get back on course and try and capture her. But it was just weird. Like nobody was doing anything towards the mission for a good hour, I would say. It ended up, you know, what happened was that they see another identical group of aliens who are from a planet on the exact opposite side of the sun, so they don't know about them. They also have a similar disease on their planet. They go to this party. One of them starts singing karaoke on a stage to try and get a vantage point to look out where she is. And they see this identical group of aliens disappearing around a corner with a woman with a bag on her head. So they chase after her. They steal the woman. They find out it's just some old crone that's the cure to their disease on their planet. It turns out, the beauty queen had been actually taken to a horrible dungeon by this man who owns a tyre shop on the edge of town. So they went to rescue her, then just put her back in danger again and take her and went back to their home planet. It was mental, but it was fucking brilliant. The worst thing was that I couldn't keep track. There was 2 American guys in my game that sounded exactly the same, and I couldn't keep track of who was speaking. I had to get them to put their names into underneath their character names on Roll20. But that was actually a problem because we were using Discord for the voice and Roll20 for just the game playing. It meant that I had a hard time keeping track of that anyway, because it's like a bunch of new people, like Nick in our and James in our table game or our weekly game. I know who's speaking because I know who's playing which character. I had to get used to, I mean, maybe that's me being fucking stupid. I'm not used to running online.
I was the same as well. I was like, anyway, who's playing? Oh God, who's playing that? I know what you mean. It's hard. It's a little bit harder to keep track.
Yeah, but that was my Aliens vs Rednecks game. I think it went pretty well, and I liked the result. We actually ended in about 2.5 hours because the guys were just so quick about getting stuff done. I've already thrown 5 fucking complications at them. What can I do? But yeah, one of the complications is that they get taken to a party by a bunch of frat guys, and all of them just went along with it, which was insane. Basically, one of my fucking favourite moments was that I said, I was like, you can see the only vantage point in the room is on the stage. So he gets on the stage to try and look out, and everyone's like, sing, sing, sing. And I put on like some music via voice meter, and I put on the backing track to "You Spin Me Right Round," that song. And he starts singing. I can't remember why he started singing, but he was singing about shit. But he was trying to do it along to the tune of. It was weird, man. It got real weird. That's it for my first 2 games. Nick, tell me about Night of the Services, and we'll try and keep these last 2 brief.
Night of the Services was fantastic. Dan Irwin's game from his Dark State setting, and it was brilliant. So we played a band that was basically been on tour, and we was on our way back home, and we stopped off at a your service station in over here on the motorway, or them large kind of got lots of different places to eat and
Yeah,
pull over
yeah.
and whatnot. So so anyway, so the band pulls over and gets into the service stations, and everything seems kind of normal to start with, but then some odd shit starts happening, and we start asking to speak to the manager. The manager won't show up. Someone finds an odd toilet. It was my character actually. He was the band. He was the lead singer, and as soon as he got there, he went straight to the toilet because he needed a poo, and before you know it, there's like a secret passage into the toilet and stuff, and then all like the staff start acting weird and that. And as the game progressed, it just turned insane. And then all of a sudden we got besieged by an army of you remember Little Chef? The Little Chef guy.
Yeah. Little Chef, for those that don't like, for the Americans out there, is basically a chain of restaurants that are only found on motorways.
I think they've gone bust now.
Yeah, it was owned by Burger King actually. But yeah, anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so their little logo's a tiny little white chef dude, and anyway, so we got besieged by an army of them, and they were all like, they're all like surrounding this service station, and Dan had done some cool little video clips and stuff, and the noises they were making, and people speaking over the tannoy, and so we was that happened, and we was being attacked, and then we was trying to escape, and we found a secret passage down a toilet, and before we knew it, we was in like the underbelly of the service station, and basically the manager was there, and he was churning people up and turning them into burgers, and that's what they've been serving at the station and stuff. Yeah, it took a bit of a dark turn once we hit the basement, but it was fantastic. And cannibalism, nutters, cultists, human burgers, Little Chef, zombies.
It sounded absolutely fucking amazing.
It really was.
If you follow the official Savage Worlds Facebook group, you'll see Dan posting about his Dark States stuff, often Dan Irwin, that is. So yeah, check that out. That sounded fucking awesome.
It was
Let me
great.
tell you, the last game I played, the one I played in the evening, right? I just want to say something about Deadlands real quick. Is that I really, really do like Deadlands. But Shane Hensley has a habit of attaching a Deadlands name to something that has no business or barely any relation to Deadlands. It's like, it's got Ghost Rock in it. And the last game that I played was fucking Deadlands Dark Ages, right? So it's Deadlands, which even the name refers to the fact that it's a Western, right? But it's set in the Middle Ages, sometimes referred to as the Dark Ages, right? A period of history which I really like and am quite familiar with, and I thought this is going to be fucking stupid, right? You've got paladins running around with guns. It's called Deadlands for no good fucking reason, But actually, it's really quite good. This was run by Conrad Neubert, who is a listener of the show and a really lovely bloke. And he ran this game, and it was basically where we've come into this town, and we've got a paladin with a gun, things like this. It's just basically Dark Ages stuff, but with some Deadlands type monsters. And yeah, we come into this town, there's a big argument, and it's like people are arguing because this bloke's accused of murdering his mistress, who is married to this other bloke, but it turns out that bloke killed her, and all of this. So there's a big murder investigation. We started with a social conflict, which is a rule in Savage Worlds, where you have to try and earn chips by doing good rolls, and you have to out-argue the other person, and we're doing that in a pub. Ended with a Wendigo type monster wearing a trench coat made of human faces.
Lovely.
So,
yeah, I saw the
was
picture.
just like,
that sounds awesome.
Mate, I'm fucking sold. It was so good. But the thing that made me laugh the most is obviously it's written by Americans, right? And they've tried to come up with a fictional town name for for an English town. And Dan's like, you as you're not Dan. And Conrad's like, you're travelling through the woods, and it seems like nature itself is giving up as you come onto this sort of secluded town in the middle of nowhere. You come onto Wolford, and I was like, yeah, that's the fictional town from EastEnders. And all I thought of that was like, am I going to see Danny Dyer standing behind a bar, or fucking Little Mo just I don't know, it's just
Grant
really
Mitchell, Phil Mitchell. All right, bruv.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they should probably hire an English editor on that one, because it's like Wolford. It doesn't conjure the scary image you want it to.
Well, the thing is, you should probably explain what EastEnders is to people that might not know.
Yes, EastEnders is a soap opera in England about a bunch of cockneys in East End of London. Yeah, it's utter tripe. I've been watching it recently.
Was the tavern called the Old Vic?
No, but it should have been. I was tempted to make that joke, but I was playing with all foreigners, so I was like,
no one
I
would
don't
have
know.
got it.
That's not going to go across well, but it really cracked me up. As soon as he was like, Wolford, I was like... But yeah,
Dirty Den.
It was cracking, man. It's just a good fucking Middle Ages horror game, basically, is what it is. And for some reason, there's guns, but it's not too out of place, and it's a good one, man. Check it out. If they release a full book of Deadlands Dark Ages, I'm fucking in.
Rippers isn't Dark Ages, is it? It's more Victorian
era.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it's I do think it has a place within Savage Worlds, and I actually really like the setting. I played a druid who was a nature druid type person, obviously, and it was funny because I kept on making like all these sweeping statements. So I genuinely was trying to play a serious character for once, and I kept on saying stupid shit. There was a point where, like, I would say, you know, if somebody swatted a fly, I would get angry at them because that's nature. Do you know what I mean? And and then at some point, I called one of the bad guys an insolent worm, which I realise now is, like, obviously bad because then I'm demeaning the humble worm. Do you know what I mean?
Poor worms.
But I said that in character. I was like, fuck you, you insolent worm. But of course, I don't mean that because I really love worms. And then I had to explain, no, that was just me forgetting what my character was like for a second. But yeah, that's it for all the games we played. It sounded, your one sounded amazing, and also we had, my brother ran a Fallout game. People spoke highly of that. We had Eric Lamoureux, writer of Wise Guys, also ran some Wise Guys as well, which sounded fucking brilliant. But that's it for the games, and yeah, if you want to set up your own online convention, just go ahead and follow those steps that we've given you, and you should be perfectly fine. If I hope you've got some information, some inspiration from those games too. And now we're going to go on to some electro letters.
Oh.
In the future, you will be able to send a letter or parcel from anywhere on the planet. This, sir, is the electro letter.
We asked you guys for your Savage Con memories.
Aww.
Thank you.
Isn't that lovely?
That's sweet.
So we'll get to our favourite memories right at the end. Obviously, James, I'm sorry you're not included in this particular part of the podcast there because you weren't able to come despite actually helping us out with it. But Jason Milam, he comes in. He was actually a first-time Savage Worlds player. He's talking about Tough Guys. He says, playing Tough Guys, and one of our players went mental berserk and killed about 3 of the enemy and nearly 1 of our own. The language, comedy, and classic roleplay that came up. Also, Andy Roberts, he's talking about Tough Guys. He says, failing the fear check in Tough Guys and coming up with the narrative that if Crazy D is ever afraid of somebody, you just need to tell him that someone is a Millwall supporter. It was pretty funny because what happened was that they found out the leader of this gang was this bloke called Mahmoud the Grey Wolf, and everyone's heard of him. He's this big fucking gangster back in Liverpool, and they all did a fear check. And yeah, so first of all, Crazy D was like, oh no, it's him. And somebody goes, he's a Millwall supporter, by the way. He's like, I'm going to fucking kill him. And then Harry the Man Masher, meanwhile, he succeeded on his fear check, and the player sort of trapped it that because he succeeded on the fear check, he just never heard of him because he was too stupid.
Nice. Don't know who he is, mate.
Yeah, that was it. Eric Lamoureux, talking about his Wise Guys campaign, he says, game at Savage Worlds. He says Antonio Banderas being a wedding present for the groom, and the amazing Linda, who is a stage magician, making a Cessna plane disappear in my Wise Guys game. So it's apparently the magic that she's able to do isn't real magic, but for some reason he actually made a plane disappear in Eric's Wise Guys game. Alan Rowe, he played in a game called Spies, which is a bloody setting coming out for Savage Worlds, written by Owen Lean. And I heard about this because one of my mates played in this game, and it was essentially they have to get into. There's a party being held in a medieval castle, and they have to get in. And this is what happened. Alan says, a female spy halo jumping in a ball gown into a party in a medieval castle, even though we'd blagged invites.
Nice.
So yeah,
that's nice.
Supposedly what happened was they're all sort of trying to mingle at the party, trying to find out where the leader is, and she just jumped out of their plane, parachuted in, smashed through the window, and then saw the boss, and the boss was like, I've been expecting you. Yeah, and apparently Andy Roberts, he says, not to mention shooting down the villain's helicopter with a Colt Navy,
nice.
Which is it's a revolver.
Yeah. I was going to say it's a pistol, isn't it?
Yeah. So they must have shot the driver. I don't know the full story behind that, but it sounds fucking weird.
Yeah.
One perfect, amazing shot.
I imagine it though when he heard that story. I imagine the guy just sort of going, looking up, shooting it. You hear this ping, and the helicopter guy's like, "Shit, we're going down." Shot the side of the helicopter or something. It's like the worst pilot in the world. Richard Woolcock actually. Oh shit, we forgot to mention your Crazies game, Nick. But
oh god, yeah.
To summarise the Crazies real quick, Nick played a game using the Trailer Park Shark Attack. Pre-gens, and if you take one wound you die, but you have a stack of 24 characters, and it was a zombie type game where the characters had to basically get out of a trailer park and basically avoid zombies. Is that right?
That's right. Yep, avoid zombies and the military. Yep.
Nice. Richard Woolcock, he played in that game, and he says throwing a bunch of Molotov cocktails as a distraction, then making our escape disguised as bin bags. You want to explain that, Nick?
That's excellent,
mate. It was the best move ever. So my guys, I started up the game in the trailer park, and the opening scene where they're all taking part in the trailer park Olympics, an annual event, and they're doing the legless race, and it's a load of people, not them, they were watching the legless race, bunch of people that are so drunk that they're pretty much legless and trying to run around a circuit of the trailer park. Anyway, that's going on, and then there's some of the ragers or zombies or tweakers as they were calling them, because the guys at the trailer park thought that they were drug addicts rather than zombies. Started attacking them, and so we didn't really get off the first map for pretty much the majority of the game, which was interesting. So I had about 26 maps to go.
Wow.
And we spent nearly the whole time on the first map, which was brilliant, because I thought that they would just run, but they didn't. They kind of got on top of the trailer park roof for a bit, and then where there was too many zombies, they had to try and think of a distraction. So the idea was throw a Molotov cocktail, the zombies would be attracted by the fire or the explosion. Because there was a load of trash bags outside one of the trailers, they decided to get into the trash bags, and like in Fortnite, I guess, when you used to be able to dress as a bush. Just picture that, but 3 bin bags running across from one trailer to the other to grab a car to drive away.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It was fantastic.
One of my favourite things. This absolutely cracks me up. Was that somebody was playing a trailer park Santa, and you said that they used Knowledge Christmas to get down a chimney.
Yeah. So poor Dan, right? So he was doing the funnel model where obviously we had a load of characters that were one wound extras rather than wild cards. So make it a bit more fun, and a nice large stack of extra characters. None of them died, which was interesting because they did a lot of evasive stuff. And and then so Dan's character was like a trailer Christmas, a trailer park Santa, and so I thought, so they were like, "Is it even near Christmas?" And I went, "Do you know what? It's Christmas Eve. How about that?" And so he had no kind of practical skills really, but then he was like, "So could I use No Christmas?" And in a way, and I was like, "Well, yeah, because you can use No Christmas to successfully get down." Chimney. So use that, mate, and he got down into the inside and let them lot in.
That's so good. It's so good. Fucking hell.
So,
I mean, that is just the most. I love that creative use of something like that. That's why I sometimes like putting useless skills on, or seemingly useless skills onto a sheet. Like when we played that ETU one shot recently, and I put knowledge weed on yours. I was like, I don't know, he'll find a way to use it. He'll find a way.
Come in handy, and we did. So
Yeah. Daniel Owen actually comes in. He says, "So from my game, Dark States, it's got to be Ryan Field, so one of his players, finding a trapdoor under a manky toilet and commenting, 'This reminds me of Train Spotting,' before diving down it."
Yeah, that was it. That's how we found the secret passage.
He also mentions the Aliens vs Rednecks game, and he says it's the general chaos involving preaching, dancing, and waffles at the beginning. And he says, from Nick Lamley's Savage Crazies, it's got to be the Bing Bag Shuffle Camouflage Disguise, whatever the fuck that was supposed to be from the party.
The bin bag thing went down well. That was all them. That was all them, the players.
We got one last email in the memories, and then we got some general emails. Terry Hansen, he says, getting to hang out with a good friend was nice. Not sure who he was talking about. No, I believe he is talking about me, but it was good to hang out with you too, mate. Meeting new people was pretty cool too. I really enjoyed playing the Deadlands Dark Ages game. Being able to use and describe having a magic cult peacemaker in the Dark Ages was sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean that is
sweet.
fucking cool. Like, meanwhile, I'm going at people with a spear and a knife, and he's just shooting them with a gun in the Middle Ages. It was pretty fucking. Imagine a guy in like full fucking plate mail wielding 2 fucking revolvers. I mean, that is just fucking badass.
He harbours bang pain from his hand.
So that's it for the memories from SavageCon. Some great stories there. So just remember, you know, if you've learned one thing from those memories, that if you've got a knowledge skill, use it. But we've got some general emails in. We've got one from Patrick D. German, who says, "Gents, I've got a role-playing group right now, and with the plague going on, we're currently between games. We play in a world that we develop as we go, and usually define different areas of the world by exploring different role-playing systems. We use D&D or Pathfinder for the more European-esque areas, Legend of the Five Rings and Sengoku for Japanese influence. We like how different mechanics can help and define a culture on the limitations those mechanics put in place. We've hit a problem though. There is an area of the world that is meant to blend a lot of features of India and Southeast Asia, but we can't find a system that covers that area. I found a couple of setting books that would work, but a setting book only does so much for us when we are developing the world. The closest I've found is Devastra, but as far as I can tell, it's out of print and only in French. Any suggestions?"
Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of playing.
Technical.
But it's a good idea though, because
Yeah,
you know
it's cool.
you play each. I guess he plays like a campaign like length session in each area.
That's
and you
wicked.
remake your characters in each game. I guess it's a great idea.
India and Southeast Asia.
I've actually got an answer for this. I don't own the book, but say what you like about his politics, but unfortunately this does very much fit the bill. But the RPG Pundit wrote a book called Arrows of Indra, which is based on mythic India. So it's basically exactly what you want. It's an OSR game, and it's based on mythic India, and so it's got magic and all of this stuff. So it should fit in with your D&D and Pathfinder. So I guess that's the right answer.
That's amazing.
But I have to say,
you have a perfect answer.
what a fantastic idea, though. For
I wonder how long this campaign's actually running for. I'd like to know a little bit more, actually, Patrick. If you want to share, that'd be interesting to know. That sounds interesting.
I'd like to know, like, are you doing what Harrison suggests and doing a full campaign in each bit, or are you actually travelling the world
And changing rules.
like all the time, and then when you enter the new place, you're in a different system?
How
So there
fucking
could be-
annoying would that be, though? Like, you're like, you take a boat to some other country, and then suddenly he's like, right, session 0 again, and you're like, oh, hang on, we need to head home again, and then they go back, right, we're switching back to Pathfinder.
Or would you have versions of your character on various different character sheets then, and it'd be a case of, right, if we're over here, then we got to change dice and change character sheets for this session. Like,
That's
do you see
what
I mean.
I thought, but then maybe it's like, okay, so they play a campaign with it'll be D&D, right, and they're playing with this set of characters, but they've heard about stuff going on in the East, and now you're playing fucking Legend of the Five Rings. Anyway, yeah, let us know, Patrick, as Nick said, because I'd be interested to know exactly how that works, because I think that's a fucking brilliant idea. John Williams, he says, well, after listening to more of the old shows and the reference to a certain composer that everyone always does when they see my name, I'm going to take a bit of the piss and write a fanfic for you to read. Now, I am sorry, because I did make that joke in the last episode, so sorry about that. I mean, I've had it all my life, you know, Harrison Ford. It's not funny, it's not clever, but I did do it. Anyway, so his fanfiction that he's written, he calls it Pounded in the Butt by the Concept of Dungeon Crawling.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I'll put some music behind this or something. One day, as Harrison, Nick and James were recording an episode of their latest actual play, Harrison was particularly excited as he had converted a wonderful adventure to fit with the progression of the current arc of the podcast. As he was describing the entrance of the dungeon to his favourite true blue buckaroos, a spectral cloud of blue light formed in the middle of the table. A face with aquiline features formed in the middle of the spirit, and it began to speak. Hello, I'm Alan Rickman, and every time we touch, I get this feeling, and every time we sexual intercourse, I swear I could fly. As he finished speaking, as is the way of his walk, the green spirit of Gary Busey congealed beside Alan Rickman and began to speak his way. And every time we touch, I feel ecstatic, and every time we do the butt sex, I reach for the sky. Then both spirits began to spin around each other and to speak in unison. Can't you hear my heart beat so? I can't let you go. I want you in my life. As the words were spoken, they disappeared just as suddenly as they'd appeared. Everyone around the table was stunned for a moment before James began to speak. Oh, not this again. No, I can't do that, can I? Oh, not this again. Harrison, are you ready to begin or what? Cheers.
Fucking excellent.
That might be the most well-written and poetic thing that's ever been on this podcast.
I feel like I want to
That was
cry,
amazing.
you know?
That was beautiful.
That was. Wow, Jesus. Okay, well, we got one more question in, and we'll try and keep this one brief before we sign off for today. And it is coming from Victor Ulansky. How much time does it take to publish your ideas through Drive-Thru RPG? How much time went into editing your publications? I'm asking for a friend. I don't know, man. It really depends. At the moment, we slowed down a bit during the old Corona and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, if you look at actual time, we do spend months on them. But the thing is that we just do a little bit here, a little bit there. Do you know what I mean? As for, the time editing, that's probably the hardest part. I usually do that. And it's the reason that you hire an editor outside of your company is because they will catch things that you won't. But we're trying to keep the overheads to an absolute minimum. So I have done the editing, but I'll read it, reread it, and still I'll find fucking mistakes. And it is bloody annoying, and it is grueling.
Yeah. And we both have to... Yeah, and it's crazy because, like, the last one we did, I must have read 3 times and then, 4 times, and then you're always finding an extra little bit. But that's the actually getting it down on paper is the easiest part. It's the aftercare that's the hardest. But I would suggest
just be prepared, to hate the thing that you were really excited about by the end of it. It's like,
and don't get mad if you start to lose the kind of inspiration for it. Just put it aside for a couple of days or whatever. Don't gruel over it. Just let it. Yeah,
and that's just it, if you're, because we write it together, we actually have a lot more fun because we can kind of be like, if there is a lull, we can just insert a new idea to it and still like bounce off each other and have a laugh about it.
Yeah.
I imagine if I was writing on my own, I don't think I would get this stuff actually finished because I just
definitely
get
not
bored with it.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, so that's bounce ideas off of people. That's good as well.
Truthfully, on the editing side, I probably spent 3 full work days actually rereading, re-editing, testing it, like little things like this, and running through the adventure in my head. And Nick as well did a lot of that too. So yeah, that's the longest part. Actually, to publish the ideas and get down onto paper, that's piss easy. What you got to do is really, if you've got a good idea, just get it down, just type until you've got a whole bag of ideas, and then trim it off, and then you'll have something fucking good.
Absolutely.
That's all we've done. I mean, I really like our products. They're budget stuff, but I think the way they look and the way they turned out, I'm happy with them. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. Just I'd say actually the writing. How long do you reckon it took in terms of actual hours?
Yeah, maybe 10 to 12 hours total writing, and then it's the editing part and the layout that takes a lot of time. Proofreading.
I mean, the thing is as well, like our first two publications are system agnostic. Really, they have systems in mind, but that means there's not a lot of stats. That kind of part is left up to the GM. We did price things. We did have some stats in there, but with the adventure, that took a lot longer because I ended up having to stat a bunch of new monsters and things like this, and then you have to test them to make sure they work and things like this. So yeah, I mean, it really, really depends on what you're making. But making an adventure took us a lot longer, and it was really fun. But yeah. That's basically the answer. It's not very funny though. So
no, sorry. But I'll tell you what was funny. Did you see the comment on Facebook when one of the guys was like, "Oh, I didn't realise it was these guys that did the podcast that did the convention."
I tell you know what was really quite flattering. I got recognised at SavageNet. Obviously, I don't think it counts because it's not in real life, but I did. Yeah. Somebody said they were like. If something along the lines of, I knew I recognised your name from somewhere, and he's read Tough Guys, and he gushed to me about how great he thought it was.
Hey, nice!
It was
amazing.
It was really nice, but it was really awkward for me. All right, let's get on and do the outro, shall we?
Yeah.
Roll dice. Have full sexual intercourse. Play Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Do a butt sex.
Yeah. Alright, guys. James, thank you very much for coming on again, man. It's good to see you for a change.
Yeah.
How long has it
Yeah,
been?
no,
How
it's
long has
nice.
it been since we've hung out now? 2, 3 years?
Yeah. Sorry, maybe about 10.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for coming on. Hopefully, you know, we do have plans actually, the three of us, to record some sort of one-off actual plays during the the pandemic. So we're hopefully going to do a Tough Guys short one-off, and maybe some other shit too, but we don't know yet. But yeah, just stay tuned, dear listener.
Stuff coming, I said, yeah. So stay tuned. There's new stuff on the horizon.
Oh yeah, and which reminds me, if you want to support the show, the best way really you can do that is to either go over to our Patreon and subscribe for any amount that you fancy, or buy one of our products. Search 3T RPG Publishing on DriveThruRPG. That's what keeps the lights on, pays the bills. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't, then our computers will be taken away, and we'll stop doing this.
Yep.
Just remember that.
Repossessed. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
massive welcome to Jameson Y and Ace B and Ken McLeenan. So welcome aboard. Thank you very much for joining Patreon.
And also Julian Burnick joined recently. The Julian Burnick of DCC
God,
fame.
I know.
No freaking
Pretty
way.
exciting.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Thank you
just
very
do that
much.
if you want to support the show, and if you want to contact us, we're on all the social medias, and our email address is 3trpgpod@gmail.com. So we'll just sign off now, and I'll just say I've been Harrison Hunt,
I've been Nick Lamley.
And I've been James Clark.
and remember that D20s are cool, but 20Ds, now that's a good time.
Unnecessary.